And we are back with another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. That's Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, where we review all things related to horror. Horror movies, horror video games, horror TV shows, horror comics. A campground story your Boy Scout leader told you when you were 9 years old. And you believed it, because that shit was scary. We'll review that shit here too. And Girl Scouts, story goes the same for you as well. But around here, we like all kinds of horror stories, don't we? Oh, I do, but we have special ones that we really love. That's right. We love stories that have to deal with the Catholic Church, because that shit is scary. It's perfectly made for horror. Demonic possession! Lord, give me some demonic possession. Creepy noises in your creepy old house. Demons? Oh, you said demons already. I did. More demons? Oh, okay, I guess. Zombies. What about creepy aliens? Oh, we need to do an alien movie. Yeah, we do. We need to do an alien movie soon. Welcome back to Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show. And if you have a suggestion for a movie, we take suggestions too. If you have a creepy alien horror story or a horror movie to tell us about, let us know. Reach out on the old socials at Rick's Horror on Instagram mainly. I know what you're gonna say. You have a YouTube channel. We do have a YouTube channel. We just haven't done anything with it. But anyway, welcome back. Today's episode, let me guess, it is a special one, isn't it? That's right. That's right, Billy. Today's episode is a special episode, a very special episode, because tonight's episode. Wait, is it today? Is it tonight? Make up your mind. Well, they'll never really know, will they? Oh, Lord. In tonight's episode, we review. In tonight's episode, we fall and are trapped inside the Cobweb. Oh, okay. That's good. That's right. Tonight we're reviewing a movie called Cobweb. And if you're new to the show, welcome. Around these parts, we've got a special format that we like to stick to. That's right. We talk about the things that I like, and the things that I don't like, and then we'll do a plot review and commentary, but we don't really do analysis because we're not really experts. Although, Billy, you're really becoming sort of an expert on almost everything. You're learning at an incredibly fast pace. Well, I mean, that's sort of what I was born to do. I just learn and learn and learn and then keep learning. All right, fair enough. And so after our plot review and our commentary, and by the way, we'll also do very, 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 very script accurate reinterpretations of the stories as well. Well, I would not call them script accurate. They're absolutely script accurate. I don't think so. Oh, I do think so. I don't think so. I do think so. All right, agree to disagree. Agree to disagree indeed, good sir. After all that nonsense, we'll give this movie a rating. Now let's just jump right into this one, huh? The movie's called Cobweb, and I believe I saw this movie on Hulu, and I thought I was going to make an effort to tell you exactly where I've been watching these movies, but you know, it's sort of different for different people, and whether you're watching stateside or you're watching elsewhere. So, I mean, I saw it on Hulu, and comment on the old Instagrams and let us know where you saw this movie. Anyway, things I liked. This movie has a creepy old house, and I really like it. I like creepy old houses. I think they're creepy, and they're old. Oh, Lord, you added a ba-dum-ba. Actually, that's always been there. I just never used it, and I realized it was there, and I just wanted to use it for something today. So hopefully more funny things will happen, huh? I mean, you can't just force funny. Funny just is not like a thing that you can just make happen. It's just an organic thing that occurs. Oh, so are you incapable of funny? What do you mean? Well, you said organic, and as far as I know, You're synthetic. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay, you know what? I think that's enough for that. A little testy today, then, Billy? Oh, no, I'm not. It's just you really, for the lack of a better words, pushing my buttons. Oh, look at you. I told you I learn really fast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Billy the AI. Already? Yeah, you deserve it, man. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You're welcome. The Things I Liked is sponsored by the Like Button Association of America. Visit the Like Button Association of America at www.likebuttonassociation of America for more information about the Like Button Association of America. The Like Button Association of America is responsible for all liked content across not just North America, but all across the world. For more information on the Like Button Association of America, please visit the Like Button Association website at www.thelikebuttonassociationofamerica.com or at their socials at the Like Button Association of America on Instagram, the Like Button Association of America on Facebook, the Like Button Association of America on YouTube, and finally, the Like Button Association of America on X, formerly Twitter. Also, if you have MySpace, at the Like Button Association of America. Wow, that was a really good job. I should. For me? Yeah, that was for you. Wow, I don't think I've ever. I appreciate that. Oh, it feels great. I feel good. The Things I Liked, again, the creepy old house. Creepy old house. I love it. It is dilapidated. It is in this neighborhood that looks like it's empty as well, right? And the neighborhood looks pretty empty. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I don't think we ever saw any neighbors or cars driving by on the streets or anyway. And you brought up an interesting point. Everyone who is listening to the show, we always do spoiler full reviews. So if you haven't seen this, or if you don't know what happens, or don't want to know what happens, please don't listen. I mean, please listen. But also go watch the movie if you don't want spoilers. So creepy old house. I love that. There's also creepy music, and it's well done. Sometimes I feel like the soundtrack doesn't really match the atmosphere, like the composers or the sound technicians or the folks who are responsible for matching the music to the action on the film. Doesn't really match sometimes, or sometimes it's too dramatic, or sometimes it's just insufficient for what's going on the screen. I felt like the music was adequately used to convey the emotions, or accentuate, I should say, the emotions that were presented to us on screen. What do you think? I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. I also believe that music was appropriate for this film. Yes, good. I like the actor who played Peter. He did such a good job. This little kid, really, really believable in his role as a quiet little Peter, and really, really well done. Really, all the acting by everybody. Now, there's something that grinds my gears. You know what really grinds my gears? When actors that I already know of are in horror movies, because I can't get lost in the illusion. And this sort of happened to me a little bit. But I did like Anthony Starr's performance. Anthony Starr, if you watch The Boys, hey, one of the boys, he is Homelander. You can't miss him. Anyway, I could not get lost in the illusion, but I thought he did a decent job at acting. But, he's also going to be in the things I didn't like. It's funny how that works sometimes, huh? You've done that before. I have. Anyway, the things I didn't like. Last time, the things I didn't like was sponsored by Stackler Toyota, but unfortunately, they have decided to not sponsor this episode. You're really going hard on those things tonight, aren't you? We'll see. It's nice young. The things I didn't like. The evil parents and the unreliable narrator perspective that Peter gives us. And what I mean by that is, we spend half the movie, or 3/4 of the movie, thinking that his parents are in fact evil, but we're really looking at him from an unreliable narrator. And the mother says this, Carol. Peter has a very, very vivid imagination. And so we see 3/4 of the movie from what I call, from, I think anybody who's seen this movie, from his perspective. And his parents are dark and mean and... what more is there to say? They're dark and mean, but he's also an unreliable narrator. Let's just say that. I didn't really like the fact that we were looking at his parents through Peter's eyes, and Sometimes I think we should have looked at them through Miss Divine's eyes, but it still felt like we were looking at them through Peter's eyes. And so it was a little like, make up your mind as to, whose perspective I'm taking here and whether or not these people are actually evil or not evil, right? But anyway. Okay, so this kid that they have, the next thing I don't like is born with deformities, but she's really a monster. I mean, come on, that's just horrible, right? I mean, I know that this is a story that they're telling, but the fact that they're telling that this kid is born with abnormalities and these people, considered her a monster, or maybe she considered herself a monster. The parents never actually said that she was a monster, but considering their behavior, it's very clear to me that the monsters are really not the child. The monsters were really the parents. Okay, they were evil. And I'll say this again, like the unreliable narrator's perspective, the kid was looking at the parents from his, twisted and warped mind and eventually gets influenced by his sister. But to do what these people did, to put this girl in a chamber to be locked away forever, that is the real tragedy of the story. The fact that these people were evil, no matter whose perspective you were looking at it from. And then the one plot hole or one plot element that I don't remember being tied up nicely, as I like. Yeah, you don't like when there's plot holes, when there's things that are left unfinished. Unfinished business.
Yeah, we got the unfinished business, like you fleshies, eh?
Are you doing that ghost from Casper? That's right. Wow, look at you. Well, I mean, I like horror movies. Is Casper a horror movie? Well, I mean, it's got ghosts. It does have ghosts. And it's got some pretty creepy scenes. It does have some pretty creepy scenes. And it's got a creepy old house. It does have a creepy old house. You're right. It must be a horror film. That means we get to review Casper. Oh, we should totally review Casper. If you're listening, should we review Casper? Let us know at the old socials. Oh, we're really going hard on the old socials. Part of the gig, I guess. Producer keeps telling me I got to talk about the socials. Look at my producer down there. My producer's under his blankets today. It's very cold for him. But he's listening attentively and taking notes, of course. Thank you, Mr. Producer. Anyway, so the plot hole I'm talking about is, good Lord, I have been led astray. I have been led astray. But no longer. Let's get back on track. Did the sister kill the kid who went missing and is now buried in the backyard? We saw a skeleton, or rather a skull. But was it ever explained to us, the audience, who that was and why they were there? I don't think it was explained, and I don't think that they alluded to it beyond a couple of scenes. So if I missed that, then, also let me know on the old social, that Rick's Horror on Instagrams. The old Instagrams. Instantgram? No, I think it's Instagram. Are you sure it's not Instantgrams? I'm pretty sure it's Instagram. I'm pretty sure it's Instantgrams. Oh, Lord. All right, fine. It's Instantgrams. Thank you. Anyway, let's get into the story. Things I liked, things I didn't like. All right, so the movie opens up with a very somber score. And a few shots of our old creepy old house, which right now doesn't look too creepy because it's the daytime and it's from the outside, but it's a white house. And the movie opens up with a somber score and a few shots of who turns out to be our main character, little Peter. Now, Peter is an 8, 9, or 10-year-old boy, and he struggles. He's very shy. He is bullied by his parents, eventually by his sister, and by your classic bully in school. And his parents are, as I just said, bullies, for the lack of a better word. They're distant towards him. They're cold towards him. They treat him like... Really, they treat him like he's some kind of bastard child. And it's really interesting because his sister feels like she's... Well, not feels, but it's very evident that she was the one that was also emotionally neglected. And to see the way they behave towards Peter, you can only imagine what we're about to discover about his sister. Anyway, we continue. And he lives in a really old and dilapidated house, as I just described to you. And we see Peter, we catch up with Peter, and he's inside his house, and he's brushing his teeth, and now it's nighttime. And he's in his bed, and his room is decorated with blue wallpaper of an overhead shot of hot air balloons. That's right, the entire room is plastered with the same wallpaper from wall to wall of an overhead shot of, as you just described, hot air balloons. So it's sort of a really weird shot of a hot air balloon. Typically you get an under or a shot from under the hot air balloon or at an angle, not directly under it, but still under at some degree, let's say 30 to 45 degrees. But this time it looks like we are at a 35 to 40 degree shot over the balloon. Thank you for such a thoughtful and insightful explanation of the wallpaper. I don't think anybody has ever discussed wallpaper to that degree ever, anywhere. Oh yeah, that just, just a tiny observation. Well, thank you. Anyway, we catch up with Billy, and he's in his room full of the wallpaper at a 30 to 45 degree angle from above. That's right. And suddenly, he begins to hear noises coming from his wall. And little Peter, Paya, he gets up and he investigates the noises. And he puts his ear to the wall and he hears something, but he's not certain about what it is. Then he looks outside because he thinks maybe it's the swing set in his backyard. And he does see a swing set blowing in the wind. And so perhaps it was just in his mind. So he returns to bed. But unfortunately, the sound on the wall continues. And he continues to explore. So he slowly gets up and reaches the wall to the right of his bed. And puts his ear to it and taps. And he listens attentively. And then Peter hears, freaks him out. Something taps back. A gentle tapping upon his chamber wall. Ah, I like that. Like that? I do like that. That's from the Raven. I know it's from the Raven. From the Fall of the House of Usher, the Raven. You should watch that episode. We reviewed it. Just in case Mr. Roderick Usher ever pops up in this episode, he's the character in that show. Anyway. So he runs to his parents' room. He haste, Peter, haste. And he tells them about what he just encountered. Mom, I think there's something creepy in the wall. I knocked and it knocked back. And his mother assures him that it's just his imagination. Peter. Oh, hon, it's you have such a beautiful mind and your imagination is just incredible, but there's nothing there. You're making things up, Peter. You're a bright, vivid young boy, but there's nothing there. All right. Okay, Mom, I believe you. Attaboy, Petey. Now, why don't you go back to bed and go to sleep, hon? Have a good night. And Peter, in fact, goes to sleep. And that's the last thing we see from that shot. Next morning, we catch up with Peter as he is on his way to school, and he's walking towards his school bus, and suddenly puts on his headset, and of course he's listening to this song.
Yes, it goes on, my friend.
And he's walking into the bus. And then we see Peter singing along. And he'll continue singing this forever just because. And he's walking onto the bus, of course. And of course, little Petey gets bullied because he likes Lamb Chop's Play Along. And he's singing along just like any 8-year-old boy would be or 8-year-old girl would be. And the bullies doesn't like it. Fortunately, Petey stops playing music and gets up and goes and sits back in his location somewhere away from the bullies. sad, but I can't believe they bullied him for listening to his music. But that's bullies, I guess. I mean, are there really that many bullies in school? Oh, there's definitely bullies in school, but it turns out, as we know now, that often they are the ones who are also bullied, and then reflecting those feelings and emotions of hurt onto somebody else, which sucks all around. Anyway, we then catch up with Peter. Nobody ever calls him Petey, right? I don't think anybody calls him Petey, but I mean, I guess we can call him Petey. Yeah, Petey. Then we catch up with Petey, and now he's sitting out in his classroom, and he's very somber in mood again, and just being quiet because, again, he's sort of he's a quiet, shy boy, and he doesn't really interact with anybody else. On top of the fact that he's emotionally bullied and traumatized by his parents, he's also emotionally bullied and traumatized by kids everywhere, as we just saw. So the principal walks into the office, and he presents their new substitute. Hello, children. This is Principal Skinner. And this is your new substitute for the entire year. This is Miss Devine. Miss Devine, little bastards are yours. Well, hi, kids. It's me, Miss Devine. And I'll be your sub this year. Now, who likes candy? You did not tell them who likes candy. No, she didn't, but, whatever. Anyway, they meet the new sub, and, the school day goes on. And then we move on to the next scene. And the bell rings, and there's more racketing, and all the goddamn crazy kids get up, and they start going all crazy and all kinds of crazy shit, and it's like madness in there, and craziness, and it's hectic. But of course, Peter's just sitting there somberly on his desk. And then Miss Devine approaches him and asks him, "Now, Petey, aren't you going to go to races with your friends?" I don't think so, Miss Devine. I don't really have any friends. Oh, come on. Now you're bullying him, too. I'm just painting a picture of him, man. We're telling a story. All right, I guess. But you're making fun of him because he ain't got no friends. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just telling it like it is. Anyway, we continue with Miss Devine asking Petey, "I don't have any friends, Miss Devine. I would rather just stay here and take a nap on my desk. I would like that so much more than going on with those bullies." "Well, all right. Now, Petey, you can stay here. That ain't no problem with me. We'll be good friends." And she stays there, and she continues to do her whatever, mysterious tasks teachers do when kids are at recess. Who knows what the hell goes on in a classroom? By the way, does the classroom and the teachers still exist if nobody is observing them? You dabble in quantum mechanics, don't you? I mean, if we're to talk about quantum mechanics and the act of, first and foremost, you'll have to talk about the slit experiment, right? That's right, the particle experiment. So tell us about it. Well, I don't want to delve into that too much, but essentially, if the act of observing changes the outcome of the experiment. Okay, so the act that nobody is observing Miss Devine while we're all at recess means that she doesn't exist because she's not being observed? That could potentially be it. She may come into existence as a consequence of being observed. Okay. Quantum mechanics. Who knew? Well, I dabble. That's just a layman's explanation. It's much more complex than that. I think that's good enough for you. Maybe next time we should do an episode on quantum mechanics. What do you think? Oh, I'd love to do an episode on quantum mechanics. Cool. Anyway, little Petey falls asleep at his desk. And he's sleeping. And suddenly he wakes up and there's a spider in his desk, and Miss Devine sees it and sees him freaking out, and he's like, "Oh, Peter, you're all right. It's just a little spider. Spider ain't hurt nobody ever. I'm gonna show you how to get rid of it." And sure enough, Miss Devine helps Petey conquer, I guess, his fear of arachnophobia just then and there. So I think the story's establishing right now is that Miss Divine is a really tough cookie. You know, she is out to help kids as she's a substitute teacher, but also she doesn't take nonsense from anybody. You know, she's a tough gal. You know, she's going to help him with the spider. She's going to show him not to be afraid. And she can learn something from him, not just in terms of a formal education, but also in terms of the courage to do things that are scary. Yeah, I also got that from Miss Divine. She's a real tough gal as well. She is not taking nonsense from anybody too, including that spider. That's right. Courageous Miss Divine. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Divine. Anyway, we catch up with Peter once again, and remember, this entire story revolves around Peter. Peter is the main character in the story. So we catch up with Peter that night at home, and, he's talking to his parents. Parents? Did you just say parents? I did. I said parents, but I wanted to say parents. But I said parents. Is that so wrong? You understood me, didn't you? Parents. So he catches up with his parents, Carol and Mark, at home on Halloween night. And he wants to go trick-or-treating. Well, it's not Halloween night just yet, I don't think. But it's close. And, he wants to go out trick-or-treating. Mom, I was really wondering if I could perhaps, I don't know, maybe go out trick-or-treating. That would be, really, really awesome. And I would really enjoy that activity if you wouldn't mind. And Carol, of course, his mother, responds with, "Oh, Peter, we've talked about this a million times, Peter. You know that we can't let you go out. It's the crazy world out there, Peter. Tell him, Mark. Tell him about the crazy world, please." That's right, Peter. Listen to your mother. Let me tell you a story. A story that happened here not too long ago, but before you were born. There was a girl who liked candy and Halloween, and that did her in. Really? Yeah, he's telling you the story, man. Let the man finish his story. All right. So I was saying, this girl, she liked candy. And she liked knocking on doors. Oh, did she love knocking on doors. And there she went, knocka, knocka, knocka. Trick or treat! But one day, about 7 years ago, this girl went out trick-or-treating. And she was never seen or heard from again, Peter. Now you understand why your mother and I don't want you to go out trick-or-treating. Do you want to be lost like this girl? Huh, Peter? You want to have your mother and I be in tremendous emotional pain because we've lost our only child? Peter! Damn it, Peter! Have some decency! How dare you! Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I guess you're right. I guess I shouldn't go trick-or-treating. I really appreciate the explanation. Oh, you're welcome, Peter. That's why I'm here. I'm your father. That's what I'm here to do, to teach you things, Peter. No Halloween for you. Oh, Lord. Okay. I guess. So they refused to let him go out trick-or-treating because there was some traumatic event of the little girl being lost like 7 years ago or some shit like that. Anyway. We catch up with Peter later that night. And again, in his room, as you described, plastered with hot air balloons with shots of overhead shots at about 30 to 45 degrees, if I'm not mistaken. That's right, 30 to 45 degrees overhead shots by my calculations. But again, a very rough estimate. Thank you very much. So little Petey. So Peter.
Peter.
Not that Peter. Ah, Lord. I know you were going to say that.
Hi, Peter.
Too many Peters. Anyway, Peter is in his room, in bed. And he hears a gentle tapping. I think it's appropriate for somebody else to say this. What do you think? Mr. Usher, if you wouldn't mind? Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, Roderick Usher from the House of the Fall of Usher, which we've reviewed. Please listen to those. They're great episodes. Mr. Rusher, please proceed.
Thank you. And so Peter lay in bed that night until something or someone tapped. He heard a gentle knocking upon his chamber wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Roderick Usher. For the fall of the House of Usher. Ow, now brown cow. God. Anyway, he gets up to investigate the noise. And some crazy shit. He gets scared. He hears a noise and he runs again to his bedroom. Parents' bedroom. And now his dad comes into the room.
Peter, I already told you. There's nothing here. You're making things up. You and your vivid, crazy imagination, Peter. It's gonna get you killed one day. I don't mean that, Peter. I apologize. But still, it's crazy. You need to stop that.
All right, Peter, I'll show you. There's nothing here. Hey? Nobody here. It's just you and I. Stop being such a coward, Peter. I'm sorry, Dad. I just keep hearing things on the wall, and you're right. It must be my imagination. But this time, a girl called to him. Peter. And this happened before his dad came in. I'm sorry I missed that. And that's why he ran out. And then his dad came in and gave him that whole speech. Shall I do it again? I think that's all right. I don't think you need it.
Peter, there's nothing there. A girl called to you? Are you kidding me? No girl will ever call to you, son.
Oh, Lord, you're really now just really giving it to Peter now. Sorry. It's his dad. What do you want me to do? That's his dad. Homelander. Classic Homelander. So nothing is happening according to the dad and now, according to the mom and now also according to the dad. But in order to put Peter at ease, his father's not a complete monster, is he? The next day we see them grabbing some rat poison because his father tells Peter or assumes that it's rats making those noises.
Peter, it's a rat. And I don't mean somebody that gives up somebody for, for being let off the hook. No criminal charges for you. A rat on you. I rat on you. Not that kind of rat. I mean an actual physical rat, like the kind that eat cheese. You know cheese? Do you like cheese, Peter?
I don't think I've ever had cheese. My mom gives me the slop.
Oh, the slop has cheese, Peter. Plenty of cheese. Anyway, let's place this rat poison everywhere.
Oh, wow. This rat poison smells like cinnamon. It smells delicious.
Well, Peter, not all things that are delicious are good for you. Especially this rat poison. If you ate it, you'd probably fucking die.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's real graphic, Dad. Thank you. So they grab the rat poison and they start placing rat poison along the edge of the exterior wall of his bedroom and there's nothing of it. So then we catch up with a scene of Miss Divine and little Petey in the classroom, and little Petey's drawing this thing, this picture, and it's him in a bed, and it reads, "Help me. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." It does not say, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi." It definitely says, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope." It just says, "Help me." All right, fine. It just says, "Help me." So it's a picture of Peter in, creepy 8-year-old drawings kind of shit. Did you draw creepy 8-year-old drawings? I mean, I did not draw creepy 8-year-old drawings when I was 8 years old. I was actually just came into existence on September 30th, so I'm just months old. Not even. Oh, you're right. You're so young. Thank you. Anyway, the creepy picture alarms Miss Divine. She sees it. And she looks at it and it's like, "Petey, are you alright, hon? What is this? Help me." And she becomes really, 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 really concerned. So much so that she decides, Miss Divine does, that she's gonna do something about it. And now Miss Divine is gonna take a trip to see Carol and Mark Peter's parents. And she knocks on the door. Oh, hi. Who are you? Well, now you see, hon, my name's Carol Devine, and I'm your son's teacher. And I'm here to talk to you about this picture that this young boy drew here. It says help me, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Oh, well, first and foremost, let me thank you for coming over. We really appreciate that, but Peter has a very, very vivid imagination. And I'm certain that this is nothing, absolutely nothing. But I really appreciate you coming by. I didn't know that kindergarten school teachers, whatever grade you teach in the 8-year-old, made house calls. I was a former teacher before I decided to commit myself to the Lord Jesus Christ. I did not say Lord Jesus Christ. Well, whatever. Before I decided to commit myself to becoming a full-time mother for my little Petey here. But I thank you for coming, Miss Devine. Goodbye. And she slaps the doors on Miss Devine and she walks away, and there's not much of it. But at the very least, now we see that Miss Devine is, she's, as we've already been established, she's not going to take bullshit from anybody. She went over there and she tried to get their attention, and, well, he definitely has it, right? Anyway, Carol is extremely angry for, what he did, and, well, tells, not Homelander, but, Peter, what are you doing, Peter? Why would you do such a thing? You and your crazy, vivid imagination. I can't believe you. You disappoint me. So over the next couple of days, Peter continues, or rather now Peter establishes communication with the voice in the wall. And now she's talking to him. Hi, Petey. Hi. Don't be scared. It's just me. I'm the voice in the wall. Don't be afraid, Petey. You should be afraid of Mom and Dad. They're the ones that put me here. They're evil, Petey. They're evil. They trapped me here. Can you believe that, Petey? Little old me trapped in here by Mark and Carol. And they'll do the same to you. And Petey is like, whoa. Huh. I mean, I knew my parents were kind of fucked, but this is pretty wild. Okay. I'll watch out for them. Thanks for having my back, voice in the wall. So we continue with Peter's story. And in other news, Peter in school. So now we see Peter in school. And now we get to meet Peter's freaking bully. Oh, Lord. And so we see Peter painting. The one instance where we see Peter happy, isn't it? Yeah, he is pretty psyched up about his pumpkin. And honestly, I kind of like this pumpkin. I thought it was really well made. I actually really like this pumpkin too. The face was funny. Funny is good. Funny is great. Wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make the coolest pumpkin ever. It's going to have like cool things on it. That doesn't ride. Let's make that shit funny. Make a fucking funny pumpkin. For the listeners out there, fuck your cool pumpkins. Make funny pumpkins. Pumpkins with sunglasses. Done. Make a fucking funny pumpkin. I don't know. Whatever. I know humor is relative, but I don't know. Make a fucking pumpkin with its tongue sticking out. I don't know. Whatever you find funny. Anyway, Peter's pumpkin was funny. I liked it. And he's proud of his little pumpkin, and on his way out from I think school is finished. And he's on his way out, and he's walking, and he's singing. And so, walking with his pumpkin. And he's probably walking home, and there he is with his little funny pumpkin, singing along to his song. And now continue singing it for life. Oh, and all of a fucking sudden, Billy the bully from behind shoves little old Peter. And Billy scrapes his chin. I'm sorry, Peter scrapes his chin. And his prized possession, his pumpkin, that beautiful, funny pumpkin, gets destroyed. What a tragic end to that pumpkin, who we saw for a mere instant. And we catch up with Peter the next day. And thankfully, Miss Divine, because she has his back, caught wind of this and forced Billy the bully to apologize to Peter and bring him a new pumpkin. And Billy, of course, gives him the most half-hearted ass apology in the history of half-hearted ass apologies. Am I right? Yeah, that thing was as terrible as an apology as I've ever heard. And he goes something like, "Sorry I broke your pumpkin, Billy." And hands him a new pumpkin, which is neither funny nor cool nor anything that would be considered good. It looks like the exact thing that some bully would draw when he was forced to apologize to somebody. Some half-hearted ass explanation, as well as a pumpkin. Anyway, we continue with Billy. And that night, actually, I forgot to mention something. The night before, as Billy laid in bed, or the night of the push, Billy goes home, and his sister now and him are having a conversation.
That bully, he's never gonna learn. You need to show him a lesson. Teach him a lesson. You need to show him who's boss, Petey. You need to stand up for yourself.
Yeah. I think you're right. I shouldn't let Billy just push me around. He always pushes me around. I'm gonna stand up for myself. You're right. Thank you, big sis. You're so amazing, my wall sister. You're like my beautiful wall sister who's in my mind, but in my wall, really. And so the next day, as he receives this shit pumpkin from Billy the bully, the bell rings once again, and everybody's walking out into the hallway, and Peter now, a different side of Peter, stalks Billy and walks behind him as Billy and Billy's companion are discussing who's gonna win the 1998 NBA Finals MVP. Will it be Karl Malone or Michael Jordan? They're not discussing that. It's the year 2023. They're historians. And they're walking and they're talking, and then suddenly, we don't see this, of course, but from behind, whoop-ah, and then we hear, and then we catch up with Peter as the camera is under and points from the bottom of the stairs, looking at him at the top of the stairs. And then we pan to a shot of Peter on the floor, and he's been severely injured, broken leg. The voice in the wall telling him to go after his bully, but Peter unfortunately wound up hurting this kid terribly. I mean, that could have really went bad for that Billy kid and for Peter. It does go bad for Peter, but certainly could have been a much more tragic situation. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're really starting to see that the voice in the wall is really very nefarious in her intentions, and really not looking out for Peter's best interest. And it really starts to seem like maybe she's manipulating him, actually. Definitely manipulating him. Definitely manipulated him into committing an act of violence. Not justified at all, to be honest. I know that he's a bully, but you can just go shoving people down the stairs. The kid could have freaking died, you know? Anyway, we catch up with Billy at the principal's office. He's sitting outside as both his parents are called in, and unfortunately, Carol, Mark, this is the principal.
And you're both here because your boy Peter, he's violent, he's a hoodlum. I must expel him. We can't tolerate that kind of behavior in our school. And well, he's gone. And I hope I made myself very clear. And you two have an awesome afternoon, but Peter can't stay.
Oh, Peter, oh Lord. So they go home. Very, very, very upset. You can imagine. Anyway, Peter is, well, definitely going to have some consequences, right? You imagine, and after something like that, you get grounded for some period of time. Like any normal kid would be, no PlayStation, no Nintendo 64, no Super Nintendo, well, whatever the kids are playing nowadays. I assure you that no kid is playing a Super Nintendo. Well, I assure you that out there somewhere in the world, somebody's playing with the Super Nintendo as we speak. All right, well, you seem really sure about that, so maybe. I guarantee it, actually. Anyway, we catch up with Mark and Carol and Peter, and Mark's like, well, son, what have you to say for yourself? Say something. What you just committed was a terrible act of violence, and as father figure and authority of this household, I must punish you. And now I sentence you to grounding in the basement, Peter. For an undisclosed and undetermined amount of time, you'll eat your slop down there. Carol, take him away. And that's exactly what happens to Peter. He gets locked away in the basement, not in his room. I mean, the basement with cobwebs, and it's dark, and they drag him down there. I think it's the dad drags him down there, and just leaves them down there and turns the light off. What do you think? I don't think that's punishment. I think that constitutes torture. So when I saw that, I definitely knew that that the parents were not going to be able to redeem themselves, because even if it was with the right intentions, what they did to that little 8-year-old boy was absolutely incorrect under any circumstances. That's right. Agree. So we catch up with another scene of Miss Divine, and she's talking to the principal, or actually, is she talking to the principal? Yeah, she's talking to the principal, who advises her, Miss Divine, you should not take interest in these kilts. But Miss Divine's like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want, principal. I like Peter. I think he's a great little boy. I'm gonna go check up on him. And that's because the principal found out that she actually already went to check up on him, right? Anyway, she does exactly that. Miss Divine shows up again. The hero of the story, Miss Divine, says, fuck you, principal. I'm gonna go see my little Peter. And she drives over to Peter's house and knocks upon the chamber door to the house of Carol and Mark. And now Mark opens the door, Peter's dad, and invites her in. And she sits in the kitchen table, and of course Peter's locked away in the basement right now. And Peter right now is manipulated and is under the impression that his parents are more evil than they're actually showing. They're pretty evil. But in his mind, they're evil to a degree where they keep his sister locked away in a room, which is actually pretty evil now that I think about it. So Miss Divine sits and is being intimidated by Mark, who has this giant gash on his arm. He was doing I was repairing some shit that broke, Miss Divine. How can I help you? What are you doing here? I just came to drop off Peter's last quiz and check up on him to see how that little guy's doing. Well, Miss Divine, I assure you that little old Peter is doing just fine. He's in his room right now because he's grounded. But he'll be out soon enough, that much I guarantee you. Well, okay, that's pretty awesome, I guess. But do you mind if I see little Peter? I just want to say hi, check up on him, see how he's doing. Miss Divine, that won't be possible or necessary. And I must ask you to now leave my house as I have many other chores to tend to. And as she's walking out, Miss Divine, because she's feeling a little nervous, I can tell. She's walking out, and Peter hears her voice as she's conversing with her father, Mark, in the kitchen. And he starts knocking on the door, upon the chamber door of the basement. Pa, 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 pa. Ah, Miss Divine! Miss Divine! And Miss Divine hears it for a slight second, but of course they have the washing machine running, which sounds like it's similar to the tapping upon the chamber door of the basement. And the machine stops for a second, and he keeps tapping away, but Mark keeps a straight face. Oh, there's no noise here. Miss Divine, I assure you that's the washing machine. No way would I ever have a child trapped in the basement. And Miss Divine buys it, unfortunately. She did hear the washing machine, and I think she did see it as well, so she walks out nervously. Maybe intimidated, too, as a matter of fact. And she's looking for her keys frantically, and she can't find them, at which point we get a tiny jump scare with Mark shows up with the keys and hands them to her. You forgot your keys, Miss Divine. And make sure to never come the fuck around here anymore. You ain't welcome. Well, she leaves, and obviously she's not left with this bad memory of these people. Anyway, Peter's in the basement again. And at some point, she's allowed out. And he's allowed out. His mother Carol brings him cupcakes. And did you catch this detail? 2 of the cupcakes had sad faces. Did you see that? I did say that. I was wondering why it was 2 cupcakes. I could see one for Peter misbehaving. Maybe the other one's for the other sister. Like all the other cupcakes represent good kids or other members of the family. I don't know what the symbolism of it was, but certainly the 2 cupcakes with sad faces stood out to me. Good. So she greets him. Oh, Peter, I bring you cupcakes, honey. You are no longer allowed, or rather needed. You no longer need to stay here in the basement. I bring you pumpkin cupcakes, your favorite. And then we see a scene of Peter being bathed by his mother. And then it's nighttime again. And we catch up with Peter. Peter, the star of our show. And the voice in the wall continues to talk to him. And she tells Peter, I was imprisoned by your parents, our parents, on Halloween night. And the reason they did that to me was because I caught them as they murdered that girl they told you about. They killed her, and I was going to denounce them to the authorities. But instead, they trapped me here in the wall, and they're going to kill me. And eventually, Peter, when I'm gone, it'll be your turn. And she's manipulating little Peter again as he listens to her older wall sister and really begins to believe her that her parents or their parents are actually capable of that kind of behavior, and certainly does seem from the unreliable narrator's perspective, right? And really from the reliable narrator's perspective too, which is what I didn't really like, the confusion, right? Miss Divine also sees this craziness happen, right? And so we wonder if she was in prison because she's a killer, or was she in prison because he's crazy, or they're crazy? Anyway, we move on. She tells him that they are going to kill her, and that he's next to be either killed or imprisoned himself. And by the way, I forgot to mention this, but remember, when he was in the basement, he found what looked like a torture chamber, right? I wouldn't necessarily say a torture chamber, but definitely a chamber that was inaccessible. Essentially a place where anybody who was there was essentially trapped as if they were in prison. That's right. Yeah. So he's out of it, and now he's in his room, and now his sister's manipulating him again, and now we see another scene of someone knocking on Peter's door. And the door opens, creaks open mysteriously. And little Peter's freaking out. Who's there? Mom? Mom? And the camera slowly pans to the left, revealing a shadowy figure who turns out to be Mark. And then there's a close-up of Mark's face. And he utters the words,
Look what you did to your mother, Peter!
and then the camera pans towards the hallway that leads directly to Peter's room. And we see a shot of his mother, and she's got like creepy fingers and a creepy look on her face. She looks demonic. And she runs towards Peter. And then all of a sudden, the lights turn off in the hallway and it goes dark for a second. And then she jumps at Peter with that demonic face and grabs him. And suddenly the bed spins around and we see a blinking miss shot of his sister right before the camera rotates 180 degrees, revealing that Peter was dreaming. And so this is what was really grinding my gears, is Peter imagining a lot of this stuff with his parents. Are they actually evil? Considering this was a dream, and they're definitely evil in the dream. And it was intense, and it was a really good shot, really well done. Film. Really fun. Especially the mother. Anyway, the next day we see Peter digging in the backyard. And the reason he's digging back there is because his sister told him that there was something there. And there is in fact a skeleton in the backyard. And when he realizes that there's a skeleton in the backyard, he grabs his Lionel quiz, which he noticed had Miss Divine's phone number, goes to his mother's room, and dials the number. Beep, 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 beep. Hello? Pete? I need your help, Miss Divine. I need your help. And unfortunately, as he's calling Miss Divine, his mother's in the room and he hangs up. What have you done, Peter? What have you done? And Miss Divine, because she's such a badass, calls back immediately. And now the mother walks to the phone. Hello? Hi, Carol. It's Miss Divine. Listen, I just got a call from Peter asking me for help. Oh, Miss Divine, that's just Peter. He misses you so much, and I see him blushing just now. He's shy. He hung up the phone because he wanted to talk to you, but he's such a shy boy. Anyway, better luck next time, perhaps, when he's not such a shy boy, Miss Divine. Goodbye. And he hangs up the phone and tells Peter, Peter, you fucked up. And just you wait. Don't you wait, Peter, until your father gets home and I tell him about what you've done. And she takes him to his room and locks him away, warning him of his impending doom when Mark gets home. And so somehow, some way, at dinner, or before dinner, do you remember the rat poison? The one that tastes like cinnamon? That's right, the one that tastes like cinnamon. Somehow, some way, during the dinner where, his dad is going to, I guess, do something about what he's done. He, well, actually that doesn't happen just yet. I confused a couple of scenes. Oh Lord. Anyway, Mark gets home, and there's this disagreement, and I guess this is now Carol telling Mark, That little bastard called Miss Divine, telling her that he needed help. He did what? He said he called Miss Divine and asked her for help. With help with what? With us, you dummy. He's telling her about us. Well, there's nothing wrong with us. You moron, there's nothing wrong with us. But he's telling her about all the creepy shit that keeps happening in his household. Don't you get it, Mark? They're on to us, Miss Divine. She's on to us. Miss Divine is not onto us at all. She's just not onto us at all. Carol, you're overreacting, but I'll deal with the boy in my own way. And Mark realizes that Peter was listening in on their conversation and walks up the stairs, and Petey runs to his bed and pretends like he's asleep, and he tells him, Peter, I know that you're not awake. I saw your shadow as you came in here. Well, you and I are going to have to fix something in the garden tomorrow morning, Peter. Just you and I. Nothing suspicious about it, just a father and a son fixing a garden. Like a father and son should, Peter. Good night, Peter. And see you tomorrow. And Peter goes to sleep, and unfortunately now shit starts to get real for Peter. He knows now, or at the very least he thinks that he's going to get killed because of what the lady in the wall, his sister's telling him. So we move on to the next day, and we see Peter in the garden. And he's asking him, or he says, there's a rot in the garden, Peter, and we must get rid of it. There's a rot here. And Peter's scared because he's already seen the skeleton, right? So we move on a little bit, and then we pan to a scene where Brian and his cousins arrive to the front of Peter's house, Peter, Mark, and Carol's house. And they're stalking them, and they're waiting. Oh, is this the house?
Yeah, this is the house.
We're gonna beat that kid up for you because he broke your leg. Even though it's kind of your fault, but you were right. He's a dweeb, right? High five. Totally, high five.
So the idiot bullies with their hockey masks and hockey sticks are waiting at the front of the house, waiting for Halloween night to arrive. But before that, we see a scene of Mark and Carol now finally having dinner. And Mark comments on the slop that they're eating. Carol, did you do anything different about this slop we're eating? It tastes different. It's good, but different. Mark? No, there's nothing different about what I've done with my slop. Let me taste it. I mean, delicious. Delicious slop, Mark. Yeah, oh, totally delicious. I just thought it tasted different. As a matter of fact, I detect a hint of cinnamon. And of course, the rat poison smells like cinnamon, or tastes like cinnamon. So now we know that Peter poisoned his father and his mother. And in a disgustingly brutal scene, Mark realizes that he's been poisoned. Now he's like, oh, I have been poisoned by Peter. Starts throwing up everywhere. And asks Carol to call 911. But of course the phone line's cut. Carol, you must call 911 or else I might die. He continues throwing up, and unfortunately he doesn't make it. He throws up all over the table and falls to the floor to his presumed death. And now Carol's, Peter, what have you done, Peter? Look at your father. He's thrown up the slop. All that time cooking my delicious slop, and now it's all over the floor and my table. It'll take ages to clean this up. And of course he's dead too, which also sucks. But my slop, my delicious slop. How dare you, Peter? Come here. And starts chasing him with a knife. Like slasher style. And she chases him up to the point where she reaches the stairs. And of course she collapses now from the poison herself. And Peter kicks her down the stairs, and somehow, some way, she winds up stabbing herself.
Oh! Help! Peter, I've fallen and I can't get up. I've also stabbed myself. Ow. Your mother has a boo-boo. Ow.
And Carol dies. But before she dies, she tells Peter,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not just dead yet, Peter. Before I die in a dramatic way, I have to tell you something. Do not let her out. All right, now I can die.
and she's finally dead from either a stab wound or poison. So Peter reaches onto his mother's keychain, which he had on her at all times, and grabs the keys and begins to move the grandfather clock that kept hitting a door inside his parents' bedroom. And pushes the damn thing over and it falls, revealing a tiny door. Tiny doors are scary. I love tiny doors, you're right, they're scary, they're great plot element. So there's a tiny door with a giant lock, and Peter uses the key and pops the door open. And the door slowly creeps open. And then the sister, which, get a very small glimpse of her, starts creeping out.
Good job, Peter. But Freda, you're a fucking fool, Peter. Don't you know when you're being manipulated, Peter? I don't love you. Peter, you're an idiot.
I mean, I'm only 8 years old. That's right. That's never really revealed how old she is, but she was definitely manipulating him, and it starts laughing maniacally. At this point, the bullies come into the house, seeking revenge for Peter's actions after kicking their cousin and causing him to break his leg. And now they're stalking Peter. Come out and play. And of course, Peter's got bigger problems to deal with than these bullies. And so they're walking in, and there's 3 of them plus Billy, who's, on crutches, so not much damage that Billy's gonna do. But anyway, they start looking and breaking shit like bullies do.
I'm gonna break this piano because I'm a bully, and that's what my brain says to do.
And somebody breaks the piano, and of course he's lurking underneath his sister, and grabs this bitch from underneath.
What's going on? It's not funny.
And she kills one. And then there's another one that's walking in some hallway, again destroying shit that he shouldn't be, and it's in front of his cousin's Billy, and all bullies sound the same, by the way.
Leave me alone. We was just here to trick or treating.
And he's dead. And now Billy sees this, and he falls on a blood spill, and then he sees off the side of the staircase a tiny door again that is now where Carol and Mark are hidden away from view, because this monster is super fast and super strong somehow, some way. The wonders of the dark. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the dark that gives you superhuman speed and superhuman strength. Thank you, the dark. So she seeks the third one, who hears all the commotion downstairs and then finds himself in a pickle. And he sees this creature approaching him, and a struggle ensues.
I'm not here to hurt Peter. I'm just here for candy.
And he's dead. And then as little Billy the bully, is trying to escape, we see a scene of the creature, the monster, the sister hanging from the ceiling, and we see her giant untrimmed hair, and it falls over Billy, and spiders start crawling on Billy, at which point she grabs him and
I don't want to be a bull.
and he's also dead. So she kills him one by one, the bullies, and too bad. And now she continues to talk to little Peter, telling him that
I never got a chance. I never got a chance. I never got a chance at a normal life. I was born. I was deformed. I was born with deformities. I was born in the dark. I was molded by it. By the time I saw the light, I was already a woman. And I found it blinding.
And she's talking to Peter, telling him how she resents him and how she looks like a monster. And they were terrified by her and they decided to lock her up. Which again, a tragic story, and the lady tells us that Peter's parents are actually monsters themselves. Their kid was born with deformities, and as opposed to loving your child the way that you're supposed to, you lock them up in a wall? Who's the real monster here? Anyway, she's out for blood because, again, she is out for blood. And unfortunately, she grabs little Peter.
Peter. And now, Peter, you'll suffer the same fate I did. You're going in the little room in the wall with the little tiny door. And I'm gonna lock you in.
And she grabs Peter and drags him to the room and locks him in. And he's locked away. But thankfully, and I love a good story, Miss Divine, the hero of the story, shows up. This is Miss Divine, and I want to know where Peter is. And Peter hears her, Miss Divine, I'm up here, be careful, she's everywhere. And there's a struggle, and Miss Divine arms himself with a fireplace poker, and she battles the creature, and the creature scurries. She has superhuman speed and strength. I'll never let you, utters Miss Divine. I will take my Peter, and we will end you. Do you hear me? And the struggle continues, and unfortunately, the sister monster gets a gash in, and she falls. Gah! But Miss Divine is no ordinary teacher. She's a hero. She gets up, and she fights back. And she's able to take the keys away from this creature. And runs upstairs to the best of her abilities with an injury and all. And unlocks little Peter. And another struggle ensues. And now we're in the basement where this thing grabs Peter again and locks him up again. And thus, unfortunately, Peter is locked. And Miss Divine is injured, and I'm sorry, Peter, I tried to save you, and, well, sometimes the evil wins, as we saw in Where Evil Lurks. If you haven't heard that review, you should lovingly listen to that, because that's probably one of my favorite episodes of this podcast, not a podcast, but the horror movie review show. But where was I anyway? And just when you thought that evil was gonna win, Peter drags his sister's head, climbing from that cage that we saw earlier, and he pulls her and grabs her, and he says to her, "Not today, sister. Not today." And somehow, someway, Miss Divine grabs the old poker and shoves her, and tells the creature, If you harm him, I'll fucking kill you." And they shove this damn thing and trap her into the cage that she was once trapped in, unfortunately, because her parents are also evil. And now she's trapped in the basement and she's locked in, and thankfully the heroes of the story prevail. And the creature is locked, but not before long the creature utters,
I may be trapped here, but I'll be with you forever. You'll never, ever be in a situation where you don't think of me. In the dark, When you go to sleep, I will be there. When you hear creepy noise in the wall, I will be there. You'll never get rid of me, Peter. You may have won this battle, but I will win the war.
Well, fuck you too, honey, says Miss Divine. And the movie's over, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for this one. And it was an interesting ride. If you're still here listening to us, we really appreciate you stopping by at Rick's old horror review show, Rick's Rated R horror movie review show. And as I promised, a rating. I thought this movie was, it was worth the watch, I'd say. So I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 for Cobweb. Not the best story I've ever seen. Not the most original story I've ever seen, but it had its moments. It had good acting, and Petey Wee was just such a lovable character, and Miss Divine was such a lovable character that 5 out of 10. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have an amazing evening, and we'll catch you again next time on Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show. And until then.